Hey, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about an adventure I had some years ago. I decided I wanted to write and tell stories and novels and things of that nature. And the reason I felt I could do this is I've seen so many Western movies as a kid. Dad and I would go to the drive-in on Friday nights, see three movies. Saturday night, see three movies. Sunday night, only two movies because I had to go to school next day. Well, as a tour bus driver, I met all kinds of people, and I had a gentleman on my bus and his lovely wife, Bill Russell. And Bill Russell, he didn't get out very much because he could barely see, he was blind. But he told me he used to write, and I asked him who he wrote for, and he said he wrote for High Chaparral, Bonanza, 12 O'Clock High. He finished up the Apple Dumpling Gang. I told him I always wanted to write. He says, "Well, why don't you?" And I said, "Well, I can't spell." He said, "Well, you spell check." So, to make a long story, I started writing, and at the same time, um, I got involved with Western entertaining, and I received some prominence. I was in the Washington Times and the Baltimore Sun, getting to be on television, and I started writing. And I decided I'd just go ahead and publish my own magazine. And here's a picture of it, Rest of the West. And this is the Left Mitten in Monument Valley. And you've seen that in a lot of the John Wayne movies. And um, my wife took a picture on one of our trips. We took an 8-hour horseback ride through there. So he gave me a couple suggestions, but I wrote 5 short stories, each one being 10,000 pages, 10,000 words long. And one was Sassy and Sam, and that was about a prospector and his mule that he loved very much. I wrote another one about the Wilcox stage, and I embellished it using my two brothers as the lead characters, Wade and Tommy. And they basically bought an old stage and got some rights and ran it. And then I wrote one about called Broken. Now, Broken was about a cowboy who wakes up with a knot on his head, been knocked out. He's got a broken leg, and there's a running arm there. Now, he can't remember anything. He don't know whether he's a rustler or it was his cattle, and there's a posse coming up the road. And the other one was Tombstone, the untold the untold story of Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. And I did make mention I had a Doc Holliday um, a 76 and a Wyatt Earp 72. But I mentioned in the book, of course, that Doc Holliday in real life uh, died in Glenwood Springs about the age of 36, Glenwood, Colorado. They don't know where his grave is because of a mudslide they had, but it's in that area someplace. And I actually published this myself. I laid out, we didn't have office in, so we had WordPerfect. And I would write my stories, and then I would draw spaces in the book. Here, I'll show you. Let's see here. Right there. I might just make that blank, and I would call that A3. And I'd tell the artist to use her own integrity, and I would tell her what I wanted as Mrs. Ovaleski. Well, um, I had money at the house, and it come time to go right before, right after Christmas. And the money I had was stolen. So it left me with $30, and my daughter loaned me 20. And the only thing, my only choice was to get the uh, pup tent out and sleeping bags and mat, and I went ahead and went. And it was going to be a problem not only having $50. See, the I was setting money aside in a milk can, and I don't do that anymore. And someone very close to me got in there and stole the money and broke my heart. So, but anyway, I left and had to go try to learn how to sell them. My wife had bought me a set of saddlebags so I could walk into a store with my books in a saddlebag and my cowboy clothes on. I had a rope. If they wanted me to spin a rope for them, I would. I think in those days I sold a book for $3.50 retail, and wholesale $2.50 if you bought 4 more. And they didn't fly off the shelf. Had to really work to sell them. Had to find places I could afford to stay, and a lot of the campsites charge an outside your outlandish figure, because you might as well get a motel. So I made it. First night, camped out down around Roanoke. I went out 81 to 40. And I sold a few books. I think $15 worth. In those days, it took less than $15 to fill up your car. And the very first thing I would do, if I sold 4 books, say for $10, I kept that car topped off. And I got to Tennessee, and I stayed with my aunt and my cousins, Francis and Claude Yao. I sold a few at their motel. Then I sailed out across the West again. This time, of course, I'm now on I-40. And I got to a point where I could sell about $35 worth of books every day. And, that would buy you quite a bit of food. And some places I could camp out for free. But one of the things I found out, because I never eat breakfast in the mornings. I just have a cup of coffee. And I would go into a restaurant, get my coffee, and I'd take a stack of these books with me. And I'd get them out and start autographing them. And I never would believe that the autograph from an unknown writer would have so much weight with the public. But people would actually come over and ask me about it, wonder if they could buy one book. And I got to tell you, I was so broke, they could have bought one page. That's the back of it. That's me. First time I spun a rope up in Wild West City, Nedcon, New Jersey. I used to go up there and learn my craft up there. So every day before 12 o'clock, I could sell about $30 worth of books. And I kept working my way on west and went up to Phoenix. And then I went north to Las Vegas and stayed with some friends up there, Mark Allen, and I sold books. But in Las Vegas, I didn't gamble my money away, but I started eating it away. And I left Las Vegas with about $10. And so I headed down north towards Tombstone, went down through California. I had a chance to stop and see the Roy Rogers Museum before it was closed down. Saw the trigger had been mounted, and Nellie Bell, the Jeep, and Bullet, his dog. So came on back down, and stopped in Scottsdale, went over Old Scottsdale, and they were having something going on that Saturday. And I sold about $40 worth of books, and I met some people. They watched me spin my ropes, and they were really kind to me. Thought I should be in the movies. Well, I had no problems. It's just I didn't have an open door and I didn't know how to do it. Well, then I went over to Tombstone, and I went in with Tombstone and I actually sold about $200 worth of books because I had the story of Tombstone on there. And again, had to autograph the books. And on the way into Tucson, a truck stop, a lady bought 20 books. Over in Tombstone, I think they bought about 50, maybe 40. But she bought 10, and I autographed them, and she wouldn't pay me because she didn't think I could sign my name that quick. And she examined every book to make sure my name was in there. And we left in good company. And I worked my way on west. And don't forget, I've been up to Virginia City, and that's was another treasure place to stop. You saw Louis L'Amour wrote the book, the Comstock Lode, coming out of there about the gold mine, and it's a tourist attraction. And traveled on home. About the only eventful thing I had one night, I was camped out in Red Rock Canyon, just outside of Albuquerque. And doggone big steer somehow jumped over the cattle guard. If you've never seen it, you got these bars that go over the road that keeps the cattle from going from one pasture to another. But he got in there, and I wanted to run him out because I was afraid he might be wanting to lick on my tent. And so I I got my bullwhips out. I thought if I cracked and running him, he didn't look very scared. So I went back and got my car and drove up and blowed the horn and ran him away. And I was able to get some sleep. One other time, place I stayed, um, I was going to say, because that was when I flew my plane across the West. Okay. So um, I made on down into Waco, Texas, uh, San Antonio, saw the Alamo. And over in Waco, I had a chance to go up and see the Texas Ranger Museum. That was just great. And I can tell you, Larry McMurtry, when he wrote Lonesome Dove, he had characters and the habits of those early Texas Rangers down to a science. Then went back into Tennessee again, and I shared my story with Claude and Francis, then back up through the Shenandoah Valley. Now, when I got home, I'd put 8,200 miles on the car, and I came home with $250 in my pocket. And I got to tell you, folks, only in America can you get in your car, leave basically broke, and come back with money in your pocket. And plus, I met so many wonderful people. And so, if for anybody that wants to write books or magazines, only write what you're willing to go out and sell on your own. Uh, these vanity press, they tend to let you think that if you had the books, when people see what a skilled writer you are, they're going to come knocking on your door. There's plenty of skilled writers out here that never get discovered, but you're on safe grounds if you're willing to go out and sell it on your own. And I think that's it. There's no more of these for sale, so that's not the purpose of me doing this. But uh, so until next time, I'm wishing you the best. Cowboy Ron signing off.